Hello and welcome to Wondermous, where we talk to amazing leaders on breakthroughs, mission, lessons learned. Today, I welcome Catherine Boyd. So excited that you all can be with us. My name is Merikay Hunt, and I'm founder of Coach MK Companies, and we're a firm dedicated to creating catalysts for positive, purposeful change to help you go to the next level in your career and in your life. So Catherine, welcome. A little round of applause for you being here today. Thank you. So why don't you tell our audience a little bit about you and your organization?
Wonderful. Well, thank you for the opportunity, Mary Kay. This is just tremendous. And it's a pleasure to be able to share a little bit of my journey and where I come from. So as you mentioned, I'm Catherine Boyd. I am born and raised in the DC metropolitan area. And a little bit about me is my background was in healthcare as a provider. I started as a respiratory therapist and then trained as a physician associate, as we call ourselves now, and had multitude of roles across the healthcare continuum, which eventually landed me into healthcare leadership. So I currently serve as the president and chief operating officer at New England Life Care. New England Life Care is a very unique organization. We are the only, actually, up in the Northeast. We were established in 1987, believe it or not, and we are what's known as a 501E entity, which is a hospital service cooperative. We are member owned and operated for 65 member hospitals across greater New England. And we specialize in infusion services, especially in the home and the ambulatory centers. So that's what we do. What we really strive to do is close the gaps on healthcare, on transitional care in particular, as we help to meet the healthcare needs of our patients, whether it's nutritional services or infusion services. And we strive to do that at the best site of care and with the least amount of cost to our system. So happy to be here today.
Awesome, thank you. And one of the things that impressed me was that commitment to the patient experience, the commitment to quality and excellence. How do you, as the leader, inspire and get everybody on board for that vision, that mission, those values?
Yeah, so great question. Let me just start by saying I am not an expert. I'm learning as I go. I'm a lifetime learner, and I think that's part of it, right? It's being true to who you are and what you want to instill in other people and the difference you want to make on this world and on others. And it really comes from just a core belief in really acceptance, clarity, compassion, really around respect and really driving those principles throughout our team. I have to model it every day. I have to speak it every day. And I think by being consistent and being real and humble and authentic, it's helped me. It's helped me. It's continued to help me drive that through other people in our organization. I'm one to say you're not a leader just because you have a title or a fancy office. You're a leader because you're a person, you're a human, and you have opportunity every day in the way you show up.
And how do you think those traits, if you will, align with your leadership style? And if you were going to describe, what your folks say about you as your qualities, characteristics of you as a leader, what do you think they'd say?
Yeah, well, I've been fortunate to hear recently in some circumstances we've had that I am approachable. Um, I'm one that learns with collaboration. I'm one that will listen. I still practice at that. Really active listening is key.
Sure.
And I allow people to have their own voice because everybody has an opportunity to share something. I am really at a point in my career where I'm really seeing the value of creating safe spaces for people and cultivating a culture where you don't just feel safe, but you feel seen and your purpose is known. Driving that through other people is really important to me. So I've already started to get some feed forward this week around how that's working, and how other areas where I can cultivate that throughout the organization and really in life in general.
That's awesome. And I was reflecting on kind of that aha moment where you made a decision that I'm going to shift from a clinical role and stretch my comfort zone
Oh, yeah.
and take on a leadership role. I want you to kind of describe what was happening and sort of what some of the dynamics behind that big decision were.
Yeah, it was not easy at all. And I'm still a clinician, right? I'm still a bedside clinician. I still keep up with my medical boards. I still keep up with
Mm-hmm.
everything. But my purpose really in healthcare over my journey, I was in the hospitalist acute care setting. I was in the post-acute care setting. I was in the intensive care unit. I did a lot of end of life care for a long time. And
Mm-hmm.
really the thing that brought me more purpose and where I knew I had a gift was really just interacting with people, really just being there and being a safe space for people. And this kind of goes back.
Mm-hmm.
I loved my clinical work. It was grueling. I loved it. But the
Sure.
real thing I liked was the connection with people and making a
Mm-hmm.
difference in somebody's life. So for me, even though I was identified for 20 plus years as a clinician, I
Mm-hmm.
was starting to get a little burnt out on the non-bedside
Sure.
duties. And believe it or not, I never thought that I could do anything other than be a clinician at the bedside. PAs don't work outside the hospital. They don't, or
Right.
outside of the bedside. They can't work from home. They can't do these other models. I had two young
Right.
kids at the time, and I said, okay, what really drives me? What brings me the most fulfillment?
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually my husband. Don't tell him that he was right, but really
Keep that on the
saying,
down low.
dabble in it. Dabble in it. Where's your expertise? I got really passionate about transitional care medicine and how to improve transitions
Mm-hmm.
along the continuum for patients so that they're not having to tell their story over and over. And how do we
Sure.
integrate technology into that? And was very fortunate to be part of some task force and some program designs. And I said, yeah, okay, maybe this isn't just basic knowledge. Maybe I can dabble in a little bit of a consulting work. So I did that. I
Mm-hmm.
just dabbled in some unknown territory. It was fearful. We get very comfortable, even if it's the evil we know, we get comfortable with that, even if there's a brighter opportunity. And I started to see what I had to offer, right? It was bigger
Mm-hmm.
than just the bedside. Still very much tied to that, and that was my purpose for sure. And that was definitely my identity for so long. But I started
Mm-hmm.
to see the impact I could make on a greater scale by
Sure.
being part of those initiatives. And that just kind of segged me into opportunities finding me, really having to have a hard look at what other people saw in me that I didn't see in myself,
Mm-hmm.
and trusting in the process of trying new things. And I'm so fortunate I did, because I don't think I would be sitting here today if I didn't do that. And I continue to do that. So
Oh, well, and when I teach some of my leadership courses, I encourage people, feel the fear and do it anyway.
that's right.
And one of the things I learned from Dale Carnegie is from his book How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. Ask yourself, what's the worst that can possibly happen? So
Great point.
the worst that can possibly happen is we try something and it doesn't work out, but then another doorway potentially may open.
That's
So
right. That's right.
I'm glad that you gave yourself permission to pause, to listen, and to try a new path. Because I think there's a lot of people out there that they just stay in their zone, right? And
Mm,
they don't want to take that risk. They don't want to stretch that comfort zone and really have this other experience. And to me, it's almost better to just try, even if it doesn't work out. At least you've given it a shot.
yeah.
So I'm curious. As a leader, when you kind of give things a shot or try something different, have you had like a learning lesson where maybe something didn't work out great for you and but it really helped you grow?
Oh, there's been many, and I don't even really know where to start. But I will say this, that until I experienced where the growth came from some of those fail forward experiences,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't believe it. I didn't see where the doors opened or how things opened up for me. Um,
Right.
so, was there a defining moment? My path has not been linear. Let me just be very clear here. Um, I've been thrown into jobs with no direction, right? Had to learn on my
Mm,
own a lot of the way. And I think that that's allowed me to adapt and, although scary, adapt and just
sure.
define on how I even navigate the waters, depending on whatever situation it is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as a clinician, I was moved by making that difference, right? So in any situation that I was put into, whether it be thrown into the ICU, literally my first day with 4 code beepers and not the confidence I had that I probably needed, I knew
Sure.
how to lean into my resources. My
Mm,
nurses, those colleagues, I don't care what their credentials are, they were my resources. They helped guide me. They helped
mm,
mentor me. They helped give me the confidence to get to where I am today. So I wouldn't say that there was one defining moment or one mistake moment that really highlighted the most of what brought me here today. But I would say
mm.
that even doing a podcast puts me out of my comfort zone, right?
Oh,
But
really?
if you
You're
don't,
doing great.
public speaking is not my thing. I just did a commencement speech. But it's
Ah,
one of those things that if you don't put yourself out there, you don't realize the gift that you have to give to other people, even if it makes a difference by one person, by sharing
sure.
your journey. You're not going to always feel ready. I was standing, I was standing in a store, believe it or not, the other day, and I overheard somebody saying, well, I just don't know if I'm ready for that yet, or I just don't know. And I had this aha moment. I said, this is why I'm here. You're never going
Yes.
to feel like you're ready. Go for it. And then words of wisdom come, and the person went forward with it. And it could be something as silly and as little as a daily activity, or it could be something as
Sure.
grand as taking a new adventure. But I'm not sure if I answered your question because I kind of lost it in my thought process there. But yeah, I wish I knew a younger self that being your authentic self really does
Mm-hmm.
matter, and it actually
Yes.
builds more trust, and it opens more doors than anything else. So for a big part of my career, I was doing the wrong thing by chasing what I thought people wanted, right?
Mm,
Um, being the person that I thought was the right path to be.
mm-hmm.
And quite frankly, as a woman and a woman climbing into leadership, that's hard. That's really
Sure.
hard, and that's not the place where you need to be. Um,
Right.
and it wasn't until I had other people really say, you're here because you earned the spot to be here by being you.
Absolutely.
You don't have to know everything. Um, you don't have to be a subject matter expert, but you need to present yourself in a way that's always going to be supportive and in everyone's good, best intentions, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
think the way that I lead myself and I project myself on the world has been more powerful than even the skill sets that I've gone and got my education in and such. So um,
Sure.
authenticity is real,
Mm-hmm.
humanity is real,
Mm-hmm.
vulnerability is real, and I think all of the above has their daily practices that continue to make a huge positive impact on my life.
And I loved when you said that I was doing things that I felt like other people thought I should do, because yesterday I had a conference call with a gentleman who used to be my manager for a restaurant where I worked. So I worked at my father's periodontal practice, and then I worked at this restaurant a couple nights a week. And they do a predictive index leadership inventory. And so
Mm,
there were just two questions. The first set of questions was, answered these traits, and there might have been 30 of them, and of what you think people want you to do. And then the second question was, now of these 30 traits, describe what you do. And it was
fascinating.
fascinating because, I've done multiple different inventories, but never one like this. And I
Mm,
think when we are being our genuine, authentic, true self, that's when we can shine. And I also like what you said about, maximizing the strengths of others, right? Because
mhm.
I think leaders who have more success are the ones that don't try to do it all,
That's right.
but they leverage the strengths of people around them.
And that's a
So
hard thing to build, right? It's a hard thing to build as an operations person. You're a fixer, you're a doer. You as a
Mhm.
clinician, you want to fix problems. So that was
Mhm.
probably one of the biggest struggles, I would say, as I kind of left the bedside and went into operations, was in operations, and now sitting where I am today.
Mhm.
What might feel like it's helpful that you're paving the path for somebody in regards of fixing their problems
Mhm.
actually can do more harm than good if you don't let
Mm.
them pave their own path with the right boundaries around them
Mm.
or expectations. So really working hard on clarity,
Mhm.
concise, consistency, um,
Mhm.
and just doing that with my humble self. So the way I speak is not the way that you speak or the way that someone else
Right.
speaks. But if I force a speech that is not my narrative, it
Mhm.
doesn't, it's not received the same way, right?
Sure.
Right.
So I was on a coaching call a few weeks ago with a leader, and one of the things that she said she wanted to work on was her delegation skills. So when you kind of look at your professional walk, what's one thing that you want to continue to work on besides public speaking, which I think you're doing great, but what's something that you feel like is sort of, on your heart and in your mind that you want to work on to continue to, go to that next
Yeah.
level?
Yeah, I think so. There's a book that I read with every transition. And actually, it was initially the book of What Got You Here Won't Get You There, which is from
Mm-hmm.
Marshall Goldman.
Yeah.
There's a segue from that Sally Helgeson created with him, and it's How Women Rise. And I say this
Mm-hmm.
because how we function in our last role won't allow
Mm-hmm.
us to function the same way in our new role
Mm,
necessarily. So you have to look at it through a different lens. And
sure.
this is very pertinent to your question because how I might have answered this question in my chief operating officer hat or my clinical hat would be much different than in my president hat.
Sure.
Um, Delegation is setting trust in other people,
Right.
um, and also accepting that they may not do it the way that you would do it or the way you
Mm-hmm.
would suggest it, but they're building strength and ideas and their own leadership as a result. You're building your bench, right? So to
Right.
me, trust today is setting that larger vision
Mm-hmm.
and trying to bite my lip and not give any of the how, right? Unless they come with boundaries, right? And want suggestions. I
Sure.
am trying my hardest not to be the plan setter, but having
Right.
visionary work to be able to allow people to really be creative on their own and fly with their own wings. And I have
Absolutely.
seen that there's a lot of trust that comes there. There's also a lot of fear that comes there as well, right? Because people aren't used to that kind of leadership either.
Right. It made me think of a time when I was younger, I would load the dishwasher because that was one of my chores my mom wanted me to do. Well, she'd come back behind me and reorg everything. And I'm like, so then I was like, well, I'm not going to do it anymore because you're just going to go back and change it. And so when my kids started, because I have three, and when they started loading the dishwasher, I would just let them do it, and I might change it, but I didn't let them know that I was changing it.
That
Right?
resonates with me so much. My kids, my husband, I need to let it go, right? Certain things you
Yeah.
just have to let go. But that's a great,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think, pick your battles,
that's
right?
right.
And because we've got so much going on in healthcare right now, and
Mm.
if you had like a crystal ball and you could change anything in your business, and it wasn't about resources or access or anything, what's one thing that you would want to do to just dramatically shift or improve or innovate? Any idea?
Yeah, so that's a great question because we're just coming out of our next year's strategic planning session. And
Mhm.
really, this mantra of patients first, people always has stuck with me.
Mm, mm,
Um, and to me, no money aside, I mean, we're a not-for-profit, so let's talk margins are not wide. But
sure.
all money aside, we have an integrated system of care across the continuum that
Mhm,
speaks one language where people
mhm.
communicate with professionalism and courtesy with the patient front of mind, right? Their journey
Sure.
front of mind. So I
Cool.
think,
That gave me goosebumps when you said that.
yeah, I mean, it really is. It's sitting in the shoes of a patient And
Mm-hmm.
I really feel like we do that at New England Life Care. We really look at each patient uniquely. It's not a widget. These are
Mm-hmm.
lives that we're impacting. But I
Sure.
would love to be able to do this in a way that's less taxing on our workforce,
Right.
is able to really look at our customers at New England Life Care, our patients, our member hospitals, and our teammates, and how to integrate everything with technology and culture and mission-driven work to be able to do that in a more seamless way. That would be my magic ball.
Oh, I love it. Okay, final question. If you were going to talk to your younger self, what words of wisdom would you give
Oh,
yourself?
wow. I look back and I had a lot of failures. I was not a student. I was that C student, B student until I got to grad school. Um,
Hmm.
I try and lead my kids through a journey to avoid some of the barriers that I had. But you know what? That made me who I was, right?
Sure.
I can name people that told me I wouldn't make it in this path. I can name people
Wow.
that have really said you should reconsider being in healthcare. I've defined being a student athlete in healthcare. I would tell my younger self, just do you, just do you. But one of the biggest things that I undervalued, because I'm a bit of an introvert. You may not know
Mhm.
that. I've become more so over the years, but you got to start making the connections. Your village
Mhm.
is so important. Your networking is so
Mhm.
important, and this world is too small
Mhm.
to burn a bridge. So always
Mhm.
go with good intent from other people.
Mhm.
Find who your coalition is, your network. You're going to reconnect with people over time,
Mhm.
but don't put yourself into a box of only one way of doing things.
Sure.
Accept that there's detours on the path. Open your eyes
Mhm.
to what the opportunities are. Open your eyes to even simple conversations, because you never know where you will go. Um,
Mm.
I'm sitting where I am today because I chose to go to a Christmas party I didn't want to go to and had a conversation. And quite frankly, that's what led me here. So your
Wow.
authenticity is your superpower. And I just think lean into those conversations, even if you don't feel like you want to.
Absolutely. Lean in, stretch that comfort zone,
That's right.
take that step, be
Believe in
willing to
yourself.
learn, grow, and lead. And really, what really spoke to my heart when you were sharing that is why not?
Why not?
Right? Why not try? Catherine, this has been a true pleasure. Thank you so much for your transparency and your willingness to join us today. I wish you much success and blessings on your journey.
Thank you, Mary Kay. Appreciate you.
Thank you.